Welcome to ETAuto Connected Vehicle Conclave. This is a precursor to our event that is happening on 26th of October in Bangalore, that is Conclave. Today, Roundtable is mainly to engage with a larger industry leaders or who are expert or the people who are going to drive the transformation towards connected vehicles. So we have a very interesting guest panel today, and we have almost covered all the important stakeholders, be it retailing from the core engineering to the OEM to the tires. We may think that tire is not going to be connected, but if I go by what Mr. Kumar has been saying, it is going to be one of the most important parts in automobiles. So when we talk about connected, it is one of the most important megatrends that we see around the world. Connected as it makes our lives easy, comfortable. We can access anything from our car. We can probably turn on our AC at home as we are reaching closer to our home. We can probably order our favorite coffee on the way, or we can do anything as we move towards connectivity. But as we move towards easy life, comfort, there's a threat also that comes along, and that is also massive. So I was talking to some of you, and they were saying that moving connected, bringing in that technology is not difficult. We can easily move to a large share of vehicles having connected solutions. But before that, we need to be assured and sure of our safety and how do we deal with the threat. So today's roundtable is mainly going to talk about how India will progress when it comes to connected. And when we talk about connected vehicles, it's not just a standalone connected vehicles that needs to be connected. We need to create a complete ecosystem where probably the other part of the city, like your home, your other transportation systems and other things, how they are ready or equipped to be connected. If we talk about retailers or we talk about service, because if we talk about connected vehicles, I think the number of codes or number of code lines of software is much higher compared to even spacecrafts. The first automobile probably had 100 million lines of coding. So every line of coding puts you under threat, every additional lines. If we talk about US, I was going through an article, a survey that says that about 100, each dealership gets over 153 virus attacks in one day. And about 3,000 failed login attempts are made on the vehicles parked at one dealership. This is the status right now. So we can understand the kind of threat. The connected vehicle could be controlled from outside devices. The vehicles has been connected within itself, transmission talking to engine, engine talking to your other parts like your sensors, lot of radar things happening, but that is going to throw a cost also. How will a country like India manage that kind of cost? So these are some area we will touch upon in today's roundtable. So let's start with, I would request all the panels starting from here to introduce themselves and give a brief 1-minute thought on this subject. I'll start with you.
Once again, hello everybody. My name is Pradeep Kumar. I am from Apollo Tyres, from their R&D center situated in near Chennai. I've been with this company for the last 20 years. My responsibility is basically product design and advanced engineering, which is looking into the Tire Plus product as well. And as Nabil mentioned, Tire always assumed a less significant role in the vehicle, and it's a very apparently simple looking product, but it's not so. I also thought when I joined Apollo like that. But as I moved through Apollo, I found I'm still learning after 20 years. I'm still learning about the tires. Tire is the only link between the vehicle and the road, as we all know. And all the vehicle forces have to be channeled through the tire to the tire contact area. And the tire has to in turn develop the reaction forces, which will basically decide the basic functions of the vehicle, whether it is carrying the load, moving the load with the desirable speed and control. And as we move into the discussion, I will answer a more specific question, and this is about me. Thank you very much.
A very good afternoon. My name is Gopalakrishnan. I am heading powertrain unit in Hyundai Motor India. Connected cars, it has two simple words. It masks a vast number of complex technologies, applications, business models involved in that. And if you ask me, India has a huge potential. Right now, around close to below 2% cars are connected. And it will increase very rapidly. And as far as Hyundai is concerned, 4 key technologies which will enable in the connected cars. One is ultra-speed networking, cloud computing, big data, and data security. Indian consumers always online lifestyle, so they always expect the connectivity, and it will increase further. And you know, the smartphone users are close to 330 million in India. It will go around at the rate of 18%. When we say the safety is prime importance, when we want to really give safety at the #1 priority, then connectivity is inevitable. And having said that, connectivity is the key enabler for Indian mobility program, which is shared mobility, electric mobility, and connected mobility. So connectivity will really enable India, and it will take India further the next steps.
Thank you very much, sir. My name is Ashwin Kumar. I work as a program manager at Frost & Sullivan. I take care of the vehicle manufacturers division here. With the advent of shared electric autonomous mobility, we believe that connectivity itself will be the key differentiators for cars, for customers to even look for. And OEMs are also having the same perspective. OEMs, according to us, around the world are looking at connected services as a platform for long-term customer interaction and relationship. To give you an example, Android Auto and Apple Play had 0 penetration 2 years back. Today, close to 450,000 cars have Android Apple Play connectivity in the Indian market. So it is our belief that every car, probably in 2025, probably 6.5 million units will be connected. The key questions that we need to answer is what kind of services that we need for the Indian customer. There's no point in bringing in the European services back here, and how are we going to monetize it? What we're also saying is, Arul can add to this, bigger screens, 7-inch and higher will become a norm going forward. So the question is what services that we are going to have in the Indian market and how OEMs are going to monetize it.
Good morning. I am Ramanathan. I head the OE sales and marketing for WAPCO. WAPCO is a leader in vehicle control systems for commercial vehicles. We offer a unique value proposition of mobilizing the vehicle intelligence as more and more electronic content is adding in the vehicle. So we use that intelligence of these electronic ECUs to provide value to the fleets and value to the OEMs, value to the other stakeholders in the value chain. The 3 pillars of connectivity, the mobilizing vehicle intelligence, or we call it as ACE, autonomous, connected, and the electric vehicle. So WAPCO has a lot of technologies to offer in all these 3 areas. In the area of connectivity, especially in the commercial vehicles, we try to resolve 2 major problems in India. One is the safety. India has the largest number of road accidents in the world. So we use the technologies to connect and the various ADAS solutions connecting through the fleet management solution, and then reduce the number of accidents. And the second important problem in India is the high total cost of ownership, like logistic cost. We are one of the highest logistic costs in the world. So we offer to the fleet the ways to optimize the costs using the intelligence of the ECU to reduce the maintenance costs, improve the utilization, improve the uptime. If there is a maintenance, how quickly it can get. So we offer a solution ranging from different, from a simple GPS tracking to CAN-based solutions to IoT-based solutions, and then at the top end, we also offer platooning, which is the vehicle-to-vehicle connectivity.
My name is Murli, heading Lucas India. I like this topic. It says connected vehicles, thereby implying that it's not just connected cars, but connected vehicles. The subtitle is even better, preparing for the shift. Because if there's one thing which is going to dramatically alter the auto landscape in terms of shift, it is possibly this. Because the entire value chain of distributor, dealer, retailer, in addition to authorized workshops, service agents, garages, roadside garages, are likely to be dramatically affected by this. Are we really prepared in terms of education, in terms of skill sets, in terms of knowledge? To me, is the question which I hope gets better discussed during the course of the next 1 hour.
My name is Arun Devraj. I head engineering for Visteon in India. And basically, if you look at Visteon, we are among the top 5 in the connected car space. We concentrate on cockpit electronics and ADAS systems. It's a pretty exciting time for Visteon as such in India, because we are like the world #1 when it comes to clusters, digital clusters, meaning clusters with large TFTs, and that transformation is finally happening. So whenever we talk about a connected car, usually people talk about electronics in the context of the cockpit, right? They're talking about big displays as in an audio, or today the transformation is also happening on the cluster side, and that's where we concentrate on. And if we look at key trends which we are selling or which we think is going to happen, one is, of course, the connected one. The second one we are talking about is a consolidation, because typically, Nabil, you talked about 100 million lines of code. If you look at that 100 million lines of code, it's split over something like 80 ECUs or 100 ECUs. Now, in the future, we are saying that there's going to be lesser number of ECUs. There's a need only for about 6 to 10 ECUs, really. And Visteon is playing in that space of how do we consolidate the ECUs. We launched one with the Mercedes earlier this year. We are the first to the market there. And we see that happening in India as well. So that transformation is beginning to happen. And the third area which we are concentrating on and investing is cybersecurity. Because with the threat of attacks, how do you make the vehicle secure? And usually the point of entry is in the cockpit, because the mobile phone gets connected there. So how do we do that? That's an area which we are investing and selling as such.
My name is Sarul Talwar. I represent the dealers. We deal from everything from a two-wheeler to cars to commercial vehicles, Triumph, Hyundai, Eicher. So I think connected vehicles is actually the right thing, because today in fact, I have seen a bigger transformation in commercial vehicles, in the connected vehicles right now than it has happened in cars. In cars, I would say it's more for entertainment purpose rather than actual use. But when it comes to commercial vehicles, connected vehicles actually give a lot of value addition to both the customers, the companies. Like today we have complete telematics that tell us what the vehicle is doing, how many kilometers it is clocked, what are the problems in the vehicles. If there's a breakdown, we even know what parts to carry with it. So this is definitely helping the industry and completely changing the way we used to look at the commercial vehicle industry, the transportation industry. Coming to cars, I don't know how ready India is as a market. Connected vehicles are definitely the future of cars. But then for that, a lot of infrastructure is required. A lot of backbone is required. Cars need to learn with certain things that happen on the lane, on the road. But with the kind of road sense and the kind of traffic that in India we have, how will these connected vehicles really be useful is definitely a big question.
Hi, this is Vignesh here. We are from the ARC group of companies based out of Coimbatore. We are a diversified group in the automobile space. We are with Eicher and Toyota. We are also, I'm also part of an organization called FADA, which is the Federation of Auto Dealers Association of India, and I'm the treasurer for it. Interestingly, about 9 months ago, our conclave, which happened in Delhi, our theme was connected mobility. It's something which is very spoken about, but the challenges, as mentioned by Murli-san, in terms of how we are ready for it, whether the soft skills are there for it, whether we have the infrastructure which is ready, because right now even our cell phones don't connect in most parts of rural India. And how will a connected car, which has so much of data to be transmitted, be able to work well there? That's a big issue. Another thing we also need to consider is the fact that telematics as a topic is a very, very large thing. It also has to do a lot with personal space. So how much of this personal space can we monetize, and how much of it is invasion of privacy? So these things are need to be understood. As a law, probably we need to also work on legislations. And but there's a tremendous opportunity in terms of commerce for all of us involved here, including the customer who can save, gain, become safer, and mobility could become a lot more personalized and efficient going into the future.
Hi, this is Bala from Ampere Vehicle. Good afternoon, everybody. I have a different perspective of connectivity looking at from you guys, like, you know. I had gone through two evolution of mobility, starting from internal combustion engine to electric vehicles. Now this is moving towards electronic vehicle. The change of electronic vehicles, no more electric or this thing, changes quite a lot of things in the vehicle itself. It is a confluence of multiple technologies happening simultaneously and making changes both in the safety, comfort, luxury, and personal experiences. That's how the vehicle transition is happening. The key drivers are, one is like the sensor networks, the smart sensor networks, and added to that, the wires in the vehicle going away and it becoming wireless sensors within the vehicle itself, then becoming more of a software-dominated vehicle than an hardware-dominated vehicle. And added to that, the new changes of, like, you know, version 5 of the telecommunication network, which is up to 5G in the 2020 would make a lot of difference in the vehicle design. And even though I'm in a two-wheeler vehicle, we are already looking vehicles becoming center of attraction for everything, both in power storage and power distribution, communication, entertainment, all of it, vehicle will be the next center of attraction, which makes it much more important in connecting it. Obviously, we have a lot of issues in India in connectivity, especially connectivity to the infrastructure. The traffic light itself is not working. What do you communicate with the traffic light when it's not working? Okay, so the vehicle to infrastructure, vehicle within the vehicle infrastructure, and vehicle to vehicle infrastructure, this type of communication bound to increase as we move along. And it is a necessity when you move into 5G. Okay, even to make money as a 5G, you need more data. With the high speed of network, you need more data to be go in and out. And more than anything else, the lifestyle and the ambition of people are making connectivity is a more necessity as we progress. Okay, so it's a long topic.
Yeah,
just to tell you this.
Yeah.
This is.
We are expecting your comment.
My ideas on this topic. Connectivity is a trend that's here to stay, for sure. I think it's a big mega trend. A lot has been said. The idea of connectivity, I think, is what is the value add that we can bring with connectivity. Yeah. Most importantly, for a space like India, I think connectivity is the wave to utilize another mega thing called shared. I think for the purposes of affordable comfort and convenience, yeah, shared is a huge thing that will have to be applied for India. Whether it is vehicle to infrastructure, vehicle to vehicle, whatever else that we are going to talk about, I think shared is going to be one of the major things that we have to look at. Now, like Murli said, I think we have the big question to answer. How do we change our current set of habits? Yeah, we have some good habits, some bad habits. Yeah, you can call it education, you can call it lack of education, but it is not lack of school education or anything like that, but it is lack of technology usage. Yeah, and this is something that we are way behind, and this is something that we really, really need to think about. And I would like to debate here a lot on how do we find a purpose for the technology. Connectivity can be brought in, Yeah, the question that we have to look at is how do we change social habits with connectivity? Yeah, how do we have an impact on the society with connectivity? These are the big things that if we do not discuss, then it becomes again an infrastructure that is brought in to serve ordering food, or it just becomes a convenience factor. There should be a bigger purpose that we can use. And one of the examples that I take is, we talk of Swachh Bharat, we talk of Clean India, we talk of Electronic India, Technology India. I think for all of that, we have to use connectivity as a trend. And what better than a moving sensor set in an automobile? I mean, an automobile is a moving sensor set. Yeah? If one of the 20 vehicles carries a full sensor set or a partial sensor set, and if somebody enables infrastructure where the sensor set data can be uploaded, you have a huge plethora of options and probable utilization or probable things that you can use. So my point would be that we have to use shared infrastructure in a major way, and that has to be something that we all have to link together. Vehicle, do we load it up with more and more sensors like everywhere else in the world? My take is maybe India is not ready for it. And maybe we don't need to waste it so much.
So let me pose the first question that is going to come. Obviously, for you, all of you who are core automotive companies, what kind of challenges do you see from, or threat do you see from the newcomers who are going to make a space like digital companies? You know, a lot of startups, a lot of digital companies, those who did not have any experience in automotive industry, they are going to have huge impact. When we talk about telematics only, it is expected to be $300 million business in India, and globally it is expected to be 100 to 200 billion dollar business. So there a large chunk of money is going out of your kitty. So how do you prepare yourself? I would like to have first comment from Mr. Murli, and then Padmaja, you can contribute.
I like the way you started on one side of the table and then threw it on the other side. You can't beat them, you join them. Where do you see these people as a threat? They're just other suppliers for an automotive company. There was a time when you had small-scale industries in Ambato. Then you had big global suppliers as Visteon or Bosch to supply to the Mercedes. Now you have the startups who have the technology. Even now, the startups...
Not even a startup, so IT giants, they are getting very deep into automotive industry. They have money, they have R&D, they have technology. Do you feel somehow, to all of you, getting behind in the race as we move towards this phenomena of connected, autonomous and shared?
Ambassador had a carburetor. They didn't shift to multi-point fuel injection. There's no Ambassador. If Benz doesn't shift to connected, maybe Google will make cars. That's how I see it. To me, it really doesn't matter if it's a Google car or Benz which is connected. The point which is being made is, at a point of time, the vehicle owner needs suppliers. These technology providers can be big companies. They can be small companies. A small company run by a lot of these IIT young, fresh minds probably will give more ideas, more cost-effective than the bigger companies. So what's the problem? What is inevitable is that the auto industry has always embraced technology. Be it a shift from a dynamo to an alternator, or a carburetor to a multi-point. As she said, there are sensors in cars, there are 80 ECUs in cars. To me, ICU, internal combustion engine, was a great mechanical product. Now, it's just electronics in cars. The auto industry has always embraced technology. The question is, in what time frame, how smooth is the transition, and how does a society prepare itself for it? It's not going to be easy in the case of connected vehicles, mainly because the education of the rank and file has to shift from a mechanical to electronics.
Mechatronics also.
I'm not too sure. I don't see anything mechanical in an electric vehicle.
If I had to just take off on what he was saying, there's got to be two shifts which happen. There's got to be a purpose shift and a culture shift. Purpose shift meaning, typically when you talked about the carburetor, the thing is, we always look at ourselves as system integrators, okay? Unless we think of ourselves as IP creators. That's where the startups come, right? They bring an IP which differentiates people, okay, or their company. The second one is we need to start thinking about ourselves as software companies. I mean, auto, typically you think yourself as sheet metal benders, okay? If you do that mental shift and drive that culture shift to be software companies, that's where the new IPs, that's where the big shifts are happening as such. That would get you there on the way.
Yeah, I think it's software companies. I think everybody is going to become a software company. So we are on that way, and we should do that. But to answer your question on the startups part of it, yeah, very interesting. I really think that startups have nothing to lose. That is the attitude, and they challenge anything and everything that is there. Yeah, they don't accept that you have a 50 lakh or a 40 lakh car sitting for driving maybe for only 3 to 4 hours a day. They say if you have a 40 lakh car, why is the 24/7 utilization not there? So I think these are the questions which are very, very interesting. And if connectivity and shared is going to enable it, yeah, I think it is something that you cannot stop. Yeah.
Bala, you are the challenger, and as Padmaja said, that you don't have anything to lose. Is it really so? Or how do you?
ETAuto, like said, the life of internal combustion engine has come to an end. There is a new thing in the dawn, which is electric powered train. And on the middle of the speech and while talking, and I asked him, who do you think your biggest competitor? I don't know, he was the CTO of Toyota. He said, people like you. I said, what the heck you are talking about? He said, you guys are very well placed to adapt to technology faster. And the confluence of technology is disrupting the business cycles. And it is turning the business pyramid upside down. And this is the word he mentioned. I still died like, his name was Nakamura-san. I asked him, Nakamura-san, are you serious? You are talking the sense. He said, yes. Like Toyota is like, 800 billion pound, truck to turn around. And you got nothing, no legacy, nothing. And you could do anything you like.
So let me move to a company which has legacy, traditional legacy, and Gopal Krishnan, I would like to bring you here. How tough the transition is? Do you think your baggage, your traditional thought process is an hindrance when you move to a transition?
I think the auto OEMs should shift as a manufacturing company to a service provider, always partnering with the customer and trying to give valuable mobility experience. We have already partnered with various companies, and we are working on that in terms of providing safety systems. Our objective is to provide maximum possible safety solutions to the customer so that always they'll be comfortable. Over and above, optional convenience solutions also. So we are working on that. We have started a partnership, and we are working on that.
So is it going to be largely a partnership, or you are developing talent and infrastructure within your company also when it comes to investment in R&D, or you prepare yourself for the future? What share of your investment goes into this area right now?
I'm sorry, I'm not able to exactly share the details, but
just give us idea, sense of understanding.
We are investing ourselves, and we do have some partners like Tata Elxsi and Baidu, and we are working on that.
So mostly partnership based. That's how. Do you think, Murli and Mr. Ramnathan, I would like to understand from you, because telematics is going to be very important. You deal largely in a commercial vehicle. How do you see the connectivity is going to help the fleet owners further? Can you share some past trends, how it has added value to the fleet owner? And in terms of service, which is one of the biggest, India has, as you mentioned, one of the largest operating cost. So how connected vehicle environment is going to help in that? After two of you, I would like to get comments from Saral and Vignesh also on this.
As I told you, the connectivity is catching up very fast in commercial vehicle segment than any other segment. So the basic reason is it provides value to many of the stakeholders. So India is now the initial part of connectivity. It was basic GPS system which was providing location-based services. So you track the vehicle, the customer can track where the vehicle is there, where my consignment is there, and then the next level of service, the value-added service came. You track as well as you geofence. Like I know this time my vehicle will come, so I make my the manpower ready for loading and unloading. So I quickly turn around using the connectivity service. Now from 2017 April, India went for this Euro 4 regulation. Then the electronic engine came. So with the electronic engine, so the CAN system came, the CAN network of electronic engine. So with that, it throws a lot of data about the subsystems in the vehicle. So you know how the driver is operating, whether he is applying many times harsh braking or many times harsh acceleration. So what is the driving pattern of him, and whether the engine, the different the subsystems, the vehicle components, how it is utilized. So whether it is due for replacement, and so you connect many of the subsystems also. Like for example, we connect telematics with tire pressure monitoring system. So it throws a lot of data about how you maintain the tires. We connect telematics with the transmission system. So you connect how the clutch is being used, how the transmission. So it helps you to do a lot of predictive maintenance in that. Then the next level upgradation would be to have a diagnostics, like remote diagnostics. Like today the technologies are available where you can actually sitting from a remote place, you can access the vehicle and then understand what is the fault code, and then you can also rectify the fault code from the remote corner. So it helps a lot of times to improve the utilization of the vehicle. So that's where the trend is going towards.
The difference between commercial and passenger cars, commercial is based on logic for the fleet user. First is mobility management, which he has already mentioned. You know which truck is going where, which passenger bus, fleet bus is going somewhere. It clearly deals in vehicle management, whether it's preventive breakdown or breakdown maintenance or preventive maintenance. And third, also safety in its own way. I'm not talking of hacking, but the safety of products. So the commercial vehicle, to me, connected is logical. It will certainly have a lot of adaptation. Because any large fleet operator, if he knows there's a way by doing preventive maintenance, fuel can be saved in today's era by even 2%, the kind of money he's going to make is incredible. And that's why even things like tires will come in. If I can change the tires, if I can refill the tires, if I can change the fuel after 30,000 kilometers, if I can change the lubricating oil after so many kilometers, incredible savings. But the direct consequence of that is the fleet operators will be tempted to have their own garages in-house rather than go to the mechanic on the street. And it's already happening. So we may be witnessing the death of the Ramu next door who was servicing my Leyland truck in Namakkal. And you'll probably have Ravi Travels, who's got his own small purchase guy, small electronics guy with a proper garage. And that guy is going to do business because the truck manufacturers are going to go after him with what I call as OES products.
Yeah.
Because you service that guy, his garage, the fleet operator is going to buy more vehicles from the Tatas or the Mahindras or the vehicle manufacturers. So, in short, for commercial vehicles, logical decision. Second, likely to be highly disruptive because the local garages might go away. The fleet operator will have his own garage.
So I think there's a threat to you also.
Yeah,
to
I mean,
both
I was
of
about
you. Do you
to add
see a
to what
sense that?
Mr. Murli said. I think, I mean, not only the local garages, I think even proper service centers like ours is going to be a big threat because the number of parts that are there today, moving parts in a mechanical or an internal combustion engine vis-a-vis electronic engine, the way the vehicles are serviced, the way the mechanics are, I mean, like definitely the Ramu next door definitely goes. But even for dealerships, I mean, like for example, I was just talking to someone the other day. Let's say in Hyderabad, there are probably, I don't know, 10,000 outlets that sell an iPhone, but probably 6 service centers of iPhone. So that's because these components are not really serviceable, most of the electronics. These are mostly replaceable. So the service center today, our business actually runs on service centers. So there's going to be a huge disruption in the way a dealership works, the dealership business works. So that's definitely going to be a very, very big thing, very huge impact on the dealership community and the industry as such.
So what is the way to survive in this environment, Vignesh, and both of you? And let me tell you, this is an open discussion. You can contribute to anybody's discussion. So feel free.
The way I look at it, I'm waiting for the electronic car to come over here.
Okay.
For 100 years, we've been selling these clunkers called internal combustion engine. And while every other industry has gone from strength to strength, we've been selling this absolute gas guzzlers. I drive a V8.
Okay, you are also using that.
Yeah, I feel terrible about it. We haven't moved at all. I'm
over
going to put
100 years now, I see engine.
Yeah, we haven't moved at all, right? And when you look at our business perspectives in the future, we can broadly divide our service incomes into body and paint, general repair, and periodical maintenance. When you look at it in terms of profitability, I wish I do BNP all day, and I do general repair on my weekends, and I don't do periodical maintenance at all. Because the kind of schedules we have, the profitability is lowest in periodical maintenance, but the kind of resources we have for periodical maintenance is the largest. Let's say 60% of the resources is the largest for PM, and for general repairs about 20%, and body and paint is 20%. But in terms of revenues, it's inverse. So I welcome this any day because I'm going to be rid of my periodical maintenance hassles. I can do my BNP, I can do my general repair, which is basically suspension, brakes, your little bit of electronics, and let's say your air conditioners. I'm going to welcome this. At the same time, we also have to be sure, especially in the commercial vehicle sector, that in case a vehicle breaks down, India is too large a country where authorized workshops can be put up everywhere, where the local Raju has to also contribute. I'm not saying this because I want to save his job, but so that the customer's convenience is met here. But as we go on to the future, more and more of these trucks or these cars are going to have less and less parts. So the chance of failures reduces dramatically. And yeah, so that's in terms of revenue streams, I don't think I'm bothered at all. I'm quite happy to what's going to come on to us, because it's going to really open up revenue streams in telematics. And through telematics, the customer's cost of ownership is going to come down because his insurance could be pay as you go. It need not be a fixed kind of insurance right now. I'm also thinking that in case the customer is able to give us the telematics data, his used car prices could be higher if he drives his vehicle properly and he doesn't, brake too hard, doesn't have an accident. His used car prices also could be much higher. It's a complete win-win for everyone involved in the ecosystem.
Yeah, so we are talking about the revenue stream will change for you. Where do you see your revenue stream? That's what I want to understand from selling and service. These were two parts. Sales could also probably look at Tesla model. That may also go.
Yeah,
I'm
see,
not just
but the point is that it's India being such a huge country, like Vignesh said, it is going to be important to be closer to the customer. So I mean, definitely dealerships would remain, but yeah, the number of outlets, like today, for example, you're supposed to open an outlet every 3 kilometers or 4 kilometers for cars like Hyundai. That will surely come down.
Probably it moves to more of mobile service.
More of mobile service. The workshops sizes will come down. Like you rightly said, you will not need periodic maintenance so much. So yeah, denting, painting, body part would remain a major source of income for us. But the number of workshops will come down. The number of outlets will come down. I mean, as a dealer principal, it is great business for me But as far as the ecosystem is concerned, there's going to be a huge disruption, definitely.
If I can contribute here, there are three things you can go and see on the internet, but you wouldn't want to buy it on the internet. One is your car, the house, and the wife whom you want to get married to.
We don't buy a wife.
No, that's what I'm saying. A correction. So the first two things are things you buy. The third thing is something which you're going to cherish for their lifetime.
Yeah.
Whether, I mean, my sister can go and have a look at a bridegroom, the prospective bridegroom. I can go and have a look at my the wife whom I want to marry, but I can only look at them, and then I need to go and talk to them. I need to go and sit in the car. I need to feel the car. I need to walk into my house, feel the house, and see how the house is to me. So these three things, honestly speaking, will not go away. So you will have brick and mortar facilities available for dealerships in the future. You can do. Most people do all the research. Right now, nearly 70% of most customers decide on the brand before they step in.
Yeah.
Right? And 50% of the customers decide on the product before they step into our dealership. So it's not going to be any different. Probably they're going to make our lives easier because we don't need to do as much marketing or as much sales pitch. But in terms of how we are able to get the customer to the car that particular customer really wants, nabbing, fab, whatever you call it, is the most important challenging thing here.
The other challenge is how the dealer personnel, the staff are able to get the data and analyze and process those data. Are they equipped to manage those data for their convenience and outputs? Required skills are available. That is also one of the challenges with respect to dealers are concerned. So we have to upgrade the skills of dealer personnel also to process the data and with the sufficient infrastructure.
One thing that I will move away from the dealer discussion into the discussion about data. Yeah, I think we are going to generate huge amounts of data, and today we don't have. So, I think one part is clear that if there are fleet owners and in the CV segment, the commercial vehicle segment, the fleet owner owns the data and maybe he does something about the data. But for a personal car owner, I think the data storage and the entire set of mechanisms as to what he can contribute with the data that he or she is collecting. Yeah, what can you do with that? I think there is a huge amount, A, on the analytics side that we have to invest in. B, on secure storage of data and some way an authorization chain or something like that. I think that's something that we haven't talked about, we haven't looked into, and Connected will bring about this in a major way, and we need to talk about it.
I think this will also help you design the vehicles better, or how will it improve the situation, if I can get the opinion on that? Yeah, you were to add something, Murli.
I would like to make a clear distinction between commercial vehicles and cars. I don't think there'll be any issue in the revenue of cars for servicing. India has only 23 million cars. We can easily increase it by 3, 4, 5 times, roads notwithstanding. The number of times the car comes for service in India is about 2.5 per car per year. That's why the revenues are so low and you're so less profitable when it comes to cars. So if we increase the number of cars by that much, even in a 3-year time frame. In fact, the car servicing industry is only 20,000 crores. It's nothing. 20,000 crores, 25 million cars. You make it 40, 50 million cars. You can have actually more dealerships, more service points. There, the point is what you mentioned. Are the dealer people really well trained in all this? And the second, which I really support, is for cars, I think this product is entertainment.
It has to move
It's
away
not
from
logical.
that.
It's not a logical product.
Exactly.
It's an entertainment product in the wider sense of the word. So
But I beg to differ a bit, because it's not limited to sensor, because if you, entertainment. If your car is talking to the things around you, you can be safe. If it alerts you, if somebody is passing through a road where you can probably apply brake on time. So I think in car also we have to look, because here we are not talking about ROI. Here we are talking about personal driving experience, personal driver's safety and occupant safety. It becomes more relevant for commercial vehicle because there your transaction business thing is involved, so it will catch up probably faster there. But I think it is much more beyond entertainment.
Nabil,
I
if,
agree with you on that just I'll close it. So on the entertainment part, I think today it is only entertainment. I think that is what is the point, that today, and we have to find ways of getting more meaning and more purpose into that than entertainment. I think that
But even today,
if I
certain
can
cars
contribute here, if I can contribute here, I'd completely agree with what Nabil says. Entertainment would be a great source of revenue and monetizing it directly, and visually it's quite tangible. But let's say safety. Today, the car, there are technologies wherein which it's GPS guided, even the braking systems knows that there's a curve coming ahead and brakes are applied earlier. There could be even a weather pattern which probably in the future which needs to be added. For example, in America, you have a lot of those black ice roads, right? It's suddenly there's a black ice and you can't brake and it pretty much goes skidding everywhere.
And you also get predicted traffic, and accordingly it can suggest the speed you want to maintain in your car.
So in case the black ice is there, everyone is going to keep skidding around and killing themselves, and this one is going to really come there and protect that from happening. So it's huge in terms of value. There are cars, in case of an accident, they send an automatic 911 message right now to any other emergency service. It's brilliant.
I agree with Vignesh, but there's a huge problem of doing that in India. Because, I mean, for example, I drive a Volvo, which has an automatic braking system. And my car probably brakes at least 2 times every day at each office.
Yeah, and it turns also Volvo, if there is a close vehicle to right and left, your car does like this.
Effectiveness of that, because of the kind of conditions that we have in India, the roads, the number of cars, there's no lane sense. So for all this technology to be effective, that is going to be most important. So till that happens, I still believe it's going to be more of entertainment.
So that's what Padmaja raised in her opening remarks, that we need to bring discipline, and it is more of a social and lifestyle, and the way we drive or the way we move around the road, that has to be controlled. Yeah, your thoughts?
Actually, if you look at, if I could add a point, there is a big shift in the design itself. Earlier, there was nothing called predictive design of the vehicle, and there was nothing called adaptive control, and there is nothing called dynamic changes. Okay, that was not there. And more than that, there was nothing called self-diagnostics in the vehicle. With all this integration of Internet of Everything, the whole Internet of Everything changes the dynamic predictability behavior of the vehicle, one, to enhance the safety, second, to increase efficiency, third, to make sure the vehicle reliability is much higher. This has changed in the design of the vehicle itself. So this is one of the biggest change what we look at in the vehicle design. Earlier it was not. We never had a thought of predictability at all. What to predict? There's nothing to predict. What to communicate? There's nothing to communicate. So the word telematics is getting into something else of live vehicle dynamic correction. Okay, it's like, we went through in we initially talked about predictable design. Then we went into adaptive design. So then now we are talking about live dynamic correction with self-diagnosis. This kind of change is happening in the design itself. This was possible only because the more amount of electronics getting into, the number of ECU getting into, the smartness getting into, and worst, this also will have a lot of problem because one bug in the software is going to cause a hell lot of problem. And the bug in the software is continue to happen. While we talk about this, the data generated also has to be dynamically analyzed and adapted. This is going to increase the computing power within the vehicle itself. The design and concept, end of the day, the design and concept is to focus on high efficiency, high reliability, high safety, high comfort. You put everything high at low cost. The moment it becomes electronics, the cost will go down. Like, if you look at LiDAR sensor as a LiDAR, it used to be $100,000 4 years ago. Today it is only $250. $100,000 to $250. Okay, it's such a drastic change. It's going to change the entire vehicle dynamism into. And it's also going to be a big problem for everybody, not only a startup, even for a big company, because the adaptation is killing us. Okay, the adaptation and the cycle and the adaptation is so dynamic and so short term, it's becoming very, very difficult to be a designer.
Your turn comes. We are talking about efficiency and stability.
Yeah,
and change of
that's
the
what's happening most of the time, I am very glad to tell the panel that I have heard some references about the tire pressure and tire. I'm very happy that means it's important. So I would like to bring the attention of the panel to some fundamental realities of going towards mobility, which is about this connectedness or connected mobility is an inevitable journey everybody in this world has to take. So the question, answering to the question that whether India is ready for it, we are at a different phase or an evolutionary phase, but we have to take that journey. What needs to be done, we have to do. Anyway, it's a point of no return. Now, if you look at the traditional automobile industry, in the value pyramid, OEM stood at the top layer, and the tier supplier were at the bottom layer. In the coming scenario, no, there will be a more level playing field. There will be more interoperability allowed. The protocols have to be shared or will be forced to share. And more of interdependency will be there. For an example, if I quote what tire industry has done towards making it possible. ABS system, we all talk about ABS system. And how ABS system was made possible? It is only because of an improvement in the tire compound. We used some special material in the tire compound which made all dynamic flexible linkages which the tire can make with the road. And that made ABS system possible. And if you look at that way, many things are there for the basic vehicle design and tire design have to support to this mobility journey. That's what the point.
So how the tire industry will change with connected environment, and how tires with connectivity contribute to the vehicle owners as well as vehicle manufacturers?
Exactly. I made in my opening.
If you could put some facts and figures that.
Maybe just to help him out, I had. We used to work with Continental 15 years ago, putting a MEM sensor in the tire, which dynamically monitors the pressure of the tire and sensor. Monitoring. It's inside the tire itself.
So it's an old, it's already happening.
It's already happening.
Next level, I just want to understand.
Basically, I mentioned in my opening remarks, the tire forces are basically responsible for vehicle functions, So if the tire can tell the vehicle control unit about the forces it generates, that will really help in better maneuvering, So that's what the tire does. And when the tire can do that, the tire is no more called an ordinary tire. The tire is called an intelligent tire. And tire is becoming more and more intelligent or smart because of various sensors getting into its structure. And TPM is the first step in that journey. Using TPM, as all of us know, we can measure pressure. Pressure is very important because if you measure the inflation pressure of all the vehicles running in India, almost 70% or 80% are running with under inflation. And this leads to unwanted deformation, deflection in the tire, heat generation. It's all wastage of energy and tire failure.
If we have intelligent tires, how much fuel we can save? Do you have any data? Can you share with us?
See,
because if we have intelligent tire,
before that,
Safety was the focus.
Safety was the focus. The primary.
Involved in the sensors.
I want to add a little more points into this.
We were involved in the sensor not to save efficiency. It was always been focus of ensuring no tire bust, no breakages, no sudden deformation into the load-bearing components.
And if you want to call a tire an intelligent tire, the tire must not only sense, it should also respond to or cause some other sensor in the vehicle system to respond. All these have to be done by the tire. And to answer to your specific question, how much fuel we can save, I will tell you, the tire is responsible for fuel consumption.
Saving fuel means you're saving.
No, the tire is in IC, internal combustion engine. Basically, the fuel guzzler is the engine itself. When you look at passenger car or truck, the commercial truck, the role of tires in the total available fuel energy, the tire consumes around 5 to 7% of the total fuel available in the energy. When this ICUs gives wave to electric vehicles, the major fuel guzzler is going away, then the tire role will become prominent. Maybe it will come to 18, much more prominent. Electric vehicle.
Because of the drag coefficient, the loss because of the drag coefficient. Like a current internal combustion engine overall system efficiency is around 21%.
And
whereas electric vehicle it's around 85%.
Exactly.
So in 21% you don't in 21% you don't have any issues on the loss because of the tire. But whereas in 85%, the loss of a tire is an important contributor in the mileage per charging. And it totally changes.
And when you talk about mobility, it's not only fuel. A lot of safety parameters have to be supported by the tire. And when you call an intelligent tire intelligent, no, the sensors can measure a lot of other parameters, like the dynamic friction, the slip, and the vehicle forces. All these can support the vehicle system to optimize the safety of maneuver, So that way the tire can help a lot.
It can talk to the road also, and if
exactly.
it is heating or something that,
Exactly.
so tire has. Let's move towards the larger question. I would like to bring in from component side also. Murli had a great experience working in Indian component space. Our component manufacturers, largely SMEs, small players, they do not focus much on R&D. They do not have technology. They largely work on technical alliance with the global partners. How do you see the landscape changing with more of connected and high precise, technology coming up, making a space in this segment? Yeah.
The manufacturing competitiveness of Indian industry will significantly improve if they do this job well. Here, like everything else, I think the Indian, the bottom of the pyramid, where it says the SMEs, I think they're very good in jugaad. I think they will do anything well.
But we have seen of late a lot of TA and joint ventures being struck off, and the foreign players are coming directly, setting up their shop because of the ease of doing business that has improved. We must credit Modi government for this.
I will just step aside that second part of the question, but the first part I will certainly answer. See, you can have joint ventures. All this work both ways. It's an employment generator. The local society would learn from these joint ventures. They can also export. And as the skill level increases, the lower end, the smaller companies will learn. Every technology change, again, the auto industry has changed. I mean, there was a time when there was just an ISO norm, then it became a TS 16949 norm, then there were Deming Awards, there are Business Excellence CII EFQM Awards. So the auto industry will improve. But this change and that is not something. So the skill set maybe you'll have to borrow from a neighboring line like consumer products. You're more likely to get a skill set of this from consumer electronics than you're likely to get from an ITI guy who's still trained in a diploma mechanical.
So our skill set should graduate from to the up level. That's what you're thinking.
Yeah, and I think that is the biggest challenge in the entire game, because everybody loves entertainment in the car. I don't know why it's you didn't really love it, and every commercial vehicle likes it to be well maintained, fuel saved. But when it comes to make it, where are the few million people today employed in the auto industry? The auto industry, by the way, is one of the largest employment generators in the country, by far. Yeah. Auto component, the service guys, the shops,
almost
to take all the secondary
people.
and tertiary industries, it's one of the largest.
Directly, indirectly, it employs 29 million, the entire value chain.
Yeah, entire value chain, yes, that's the numbers talked about, and that's a lot of people who are employed as adults. In that value stream, you're going to have people who need electronics background, electronics manufacturing, electronics line balancing, then electronics servicing, telematics, and all that which comes with a connected vehicle. That possibly is, in my view, the single biggest challenge in this whole connected space. That who is really going to train such a mass of people, and what time frame, and what all skill sets. I mean, I'm really starting at the ITI levels. We're not talking of engineers of an IIT who are trained in this. We're talking of all the diploma holders, the IITs, the ITIs. Huge skill set needs to be done.
The biggest transformation is not in one single technology. As of now, it has been a mechanical or internal combustion engine. Now we are looking at in multi-dimensional. The material is going to change from steel to composite, lightweight composite. That itself is the biggest change.
Engineered plastic.
Like engineered plastics or whatever it is. That itself will totally disrupt our current system of current ecosystem will kind of totally killed. That would happen. That's one side. And the second side is the smartness and the intelligence needed to be added. Is no more a mechanical part which dominates the design. It is a software which dominates the design. The software dominance of the design is also going to change the skill set level what is needed into few layer or few level of abstraction above. That is going to be a biggest challenge. And the third part of it, the conceptualization and the user feeling creation, that level of product expertise, most of the small companies don't have. Even so-called IT companies, what they are doing, they also don't have. That level of giving the fidelity to the user experience of the things, that also is going to change. How you're going to feel, how you're going to operate, what you're going to do. That even today while I talk, we also don't understand.
So you are talking about connecting technology with the brand image, brand experience. That's
No. I'm talking about if you are a company want to be a supplier to X. Okay. The changes are not in single dimensional and single planar. It is multi-dimensional, multi-technology, multi-usability, and all happening at simultaneous.
You want to add something, Gopal Krishna?
Yeah, the shop floor managers, engineers need to be tech savvy and they should upgrade their skills, because traditionally they do a preventive maintenance kind of thing. When you switch on to Industry 4.0 when you're going towards that, you have huge data. You should know how to process the data, for example, R programming and all that. Unless they become tech savvy and skilled up, you cannot take a decision how to prevent, when to do the preventive maintenance. So that is a real challenge. We have to upgrade ourselves. The shop floor managers and engineers.
In general, I would like to make a point. The skill set, as we have heard, is the biggest stumbling block in our journey towards connectedness. I think we need to have some intervention from the government level itself to the universities, because if you look at most of the universities, their curriculum is age-old curriculum, which will not make the engineers coming out of it industry ready. So we need to have more of a collaborative education system between the industry and the universities, and there has to be a high-level intervention to make it happen. Then only we can have sufficient skill set available. And also we need to provide sufficient infrastructure to retain this brain power which is coming out of this college. These two things have to be attended to.
Your original question was how the connectivity is helping the design and OEMs in part development and other things. In our company, we have an initiative called now Design for Data. Like all the mechanical systems, we are making it into smart systems. They should throw data, useful data to healthy customers. So like as part of it, like few examples I can quote, like for example, our disc brakes today, we can have a continuous wear sensor, how much it is worn out, when to change the brake pads, and so those data, it can predict how much lifetime is remaining. Our stability control systems can throw data when these ESC triggers are there. Like when you connect it with the connectivity, the telematics system, it can show you exactly where which routes the stability control systems are active. Like then you can predict those routes which are very risky to drive, so you can actually warn the drivers beforehand. our electronic braking systems can give you much more data, like it uses the software algorithm to predict the load of the vehicle. So like this, there are many smart ways in which we use the mechanical systems and turn them into smart and give them.
So I just wanted to understand, with connectivity coming on, do you think the time of currently taking in terms of designing and developing and finally bringing the product on the road has reduced?
Yes.
It has become easier, convenient. So do you have any data on that, any of you?
Yeah, we had some couple of data where like in some of the cases we had some design assumptions when we connected.
Like it used to take around 2 years, 2.5 years.
Earlier the
Now
cycle used to be about 3 years. Today it's about 1.5 years. That's the reality.
And how
of
much
the day.
connected thing has helped in that?
I'll answer it differently. I mean, you had a question earlier. There's so much of foreign companies coming in. What's happening to the small players, or what's happening even to the India players? One of the things which we try to push is typically our designs. And everybody's talking about frugal engineering, and frugal engineering means taking the cost down, right? So one of the things which we are talking about is stop talking about design to SOP, start of production. How do you design to fit, to adopt? Your smartphone does it. Every day your app updates. If you see this, it will tell you 20 apps which got updated. Now, how often does the car update itself? Once every 6 months you take to the service station, they don't even tell you what they did with the car, but probably some of the ECUs are getting updated. So where we are going with this is, you're going to design your vehicle in 1.5 year cycle. In 1.5 years, you already don't know whether what you design for is what the consumer wants. So if you space it in that you can adapt a bit, you will find better traction with your customers. We've tried that, for example, on the Mahindra XUV vehicle, where 2015 the vehicle would have launched, but every year we worked with them to bring in a new feature. So 1 year we brought in apps, another year we brought in, last year we brought in Android Auto as such, and we find that with the consumer that's a bit of a wow factor, because they like, it's all connectivity. Each of the example I gave you is about how the user connects to the vehicle better, but it also has a stickiness factor in terms of them liking the product which they picked up.
In our electric vehicle, we have implemented EBS, electronic braking system. Okay. We were able to bring down, because the braking is been mechanical friction braking. So the brake, that's the wear and tear part, which it was going faster. We were able to improve the life of the brake pad by 10 times. Okay, how we did is in the electronic brake, the moment you apply the brake, we switch off the motor. Okay, that's the first thing. And second, while we switch off, for a short while, we give a friction backwards. Okay, without affecting, without giving too much of friction, which acts as a mechanical friction, and it doesn't have to affect the mechanical braking, but it can stop. In this method, if you look at it, if you even put a front brake, the back wheel will stop, which is the driving wheel. Back wheel will stop. With this, we were able to increase brake pad life by 10x. This is the kind of changes we are looking at, in terms of, you asked me how connectivity is changing. The whole part design of the braking system is changing, totally changing. And now we are working on the next level of braking, which is electromagnetic braking, which we have made in vehicles which are carrying load. If you're carrying a load on a slope, you give the throttle, the vehicle should not come back. So for that, what we do, we magnetize, the brake and hold it to the moving part. The moment you start, the electromagnetic brake will release and it will become normal, and it will let the vehicle go up. We are combining this EBS with the electro braking together, and we are looking at totally a new technology to come out. This type of transition is making it difficult even for experienced players to adopt.
This kind of system extract the maximum potential of the tire property in braking. again, tire has to play a role in that.
Yeah, Ashwin, you wanted to.
Very important person because whatever we put into our car,
Mobility comes from the tire only.
Tire only.
Coming back to connected vehicles itself, connectivity actually gives OEMs an unprecedented opportunity to try and understand how their vehicles are used. 5 years back, if you were to ask Maruti how many vehicles came back to your service station, these numbers weren't there. But today, it gives OEMs an opportunity to try and understand how many kilometers your vehicles are driven, where they are driven, how fast are they driven, who are the kind of, if you can link it back to Google, try and understand the vehicle, the owner's profile of the kind of person who drives the vehicle. And that is why globally we see that connectivity itself is used by OEMs as a tool for internal savings as well as bring in after sales revenues. We spoke about data. There are a number of ways in which this data is getting used globally, and this is going to come down to India as well. One is, like Mr. Ramnan spoke about, product innovation. And another aspect of it is process innovation. Just like, you could reduce recalls. We recently worked with Tesla in the US. We came to understand that they send an over-the-air update and increase the ground clearance of the vehicle. And they did it. And as Mr. Ramnan said, the number of data points that you get, the use cases are literally endless. Let's say, for example, warranty optimization. If your OEM is giving a warranty of about 20,000 kilometers for a particular part, and based on your data, you get to understand that the part fails at 15,000, you can either get hold of your supplier or reduce your total overall warranty. And it can also help you bring your customer back to your dealerships. For example, if I know as an OEM that I've driven 15,000 kilometers and I'm due for service, I can actually send a bip through my connected vehicle that, hey, you've driven 15,000 kilometers, your nearest service station is here. You can drive your revenues back to the dealerships as well. And if you also know what kind of parts get replaced, or if you know that a particular part is going to save, it can help dealerships manage their inventory pretty well.
I think these all are already happening. So
contribute here. To just pick a line of yours, you're talking about how we can actually look at the vehicle and the usage patterns. One of the biggest challenges for us right now is, let's say a customer walks in. I got about 6-7 different vehicles to sell in Toyota, and each of the vehicle has a different transmission, automatic, manual. You'll also have a high-end, low-end, different features. Let's say I'm able to get some data regarding the previous vehicle which my customer has used. There could be 30 features in the vehicle, but the customer could have primarily used only 50% of it, and the rest of it wouldn't have been used at all. So next time the customer comes in, I'll probably tell the customer, you don't go in for these features, you save some money, and I'll introduce him to features which is not there in his current vehicle, which are new, but it also costs money. So these things really help the customer too, apart from us as an industry to work within.
I also agree with Nabil. Most of these things are happening, Ashwin, today. I mean, we have vehicles that actually remind you that the vehicles are due. I mean, most of the luxury cars, if you see, most of these features are today already inbuilt in them. In fact, when the vehicle comes to us for servicing, even before it reaches us, we sometimes know what is going to be, what are the things that are needed. We don't even have to look at the car. Only the remote actually has enough sensor that tells us completely, the complete diagnostics about the car, even before we have a look at the vehicle.
The part that I would like to add in all of these discussions, that is, I think a lot of features that we're talking about now, like you said, are already existing.
But in minority, I guess.
Connectivity. No, they are available. We have to adapt it to India. That's about it. Yeah, it's there. I think what we need to invest in using a mega trend of connectivity is how do we adapt things for ourselves? How do we find out India-specific things? For that, we have to use connectivity as a trend to collect a whole lot of data and then analyze it using AI, find patterns in that, find various methods in that, and then solve a problem. I think we are not investing in that part of it. We will get a lot of utilization, that is fine. We will use, what you said is perfectly valid. It saves a lot of money, a lot of fuel, a lot of industry time, it improves efficiency, fantastic. Yeah, but what are we doing to make our lives maybe safer? our cities better convenient? Are we doing something using connectivity as a trend? I think that is going to be an urban problem, and that urban nightmare we need to solve. And that is somewhere where infrastructure plus the OEMs plus the technology companies need to put their heads and maybe some money into it, yeah, to really get going on the analysis to build India specific. We will never ever have maybe the lines dividing the tracks, right? We are never going to have, yeah, because somebody draws nice lanes, somebody is next day going to lay tar over it. So we are going to have these problems. So the maybe the driver assistance or ADAS systems will not work for India. So we need to find our own ways to solve these problems.
India specific.
I have some question either to Bala and Padmaja. See, the penetration of mobility or connected mobility in future will depend a lot on economic affordability.
Correct.
And if you look at Indian cities, they're all really crowded, and you will see the whole spectrum of vehicle from two-wheeler to low end of the cars, entry level, and high end of the cars. And suppose you are going to connect all these together, how affordable they will be for the common man? This will decide.
This is the big billion-dollar question that we have to ask. What are the electronics that an average person can afford to have and possess in a personally used car versus what can he buy as a service from the infrastructure?
Connectivity is not new. I want you to understand that. It's been all around. It's just a matter of now it is becoming much more fancy word. Connectivity has always been there. And then as far as affordability is concerned, there are a lot of transitions are happening. In our vehicles, we have removed dashboards. Your mobile phone becoming your dashboard. And your mobile phone becoming a connectivity device, part of the vehicle, even though it is removable, is also acting as an immobilizer. This kind of changes are happening to reducing costs. We are looking at where to cut costs, and where to kind of make it more flexible to the user, where to store the data, whether we store on the vehicle or whether I store on his phone or whether I store on his cloud. This kind of changes and the dynamism and the optimism will continue. As things progresses, as I said, we are moving towards electronic vehicle. The electronics vehicle is the only industry where the volume is up, but never the revenue has never up. Always the price per unit always keep dropping. That's the only industry which continues to happen. So that's why I call it's not electric vehicle or internal combustion vehicle. It's becoming more of an electronic vehicle. As the volume increases, the integration will increase, the performance will increase, the price will come down. This will continue to happen. Okay, and at the same time, there will be errors. Trust me, there will be a lot bound of errors we're going to have. There will also be security issues we will have, which need to be fixed along the way. And it's not going to come without an issue.
Yeah, last comment, then we will...
Affordability. Maruti, amongst others, have tried out a retrofit kit for connectivity in vehicles. And they've done some surveys, not just Maruti, but a lot of others, I think partly done by CMS also. About the retrofit kit costs about 10,000 rupees. And was very well accepted for the function it meant to be. And in terms of how many people in the surveys, how many people really want to have this kind of connectivity, 13% said, yes, we want it in the future cars, 1-3. About 25 to 26% said, yeah, we can have it. But the more interesting question for the individual car owner, not commercial vehicle, car owner was, you're asking me and giving me so much data, you're taking so much data out of me, how safe am I? The individual car owner somehow feels uncomfortable transmitting, even for entertainment, because he doesn't own the data. He can use the data, he doesn't own the data. And a little over 50%, actually a little over 50% says that I don't feel safe when I have these kind of things in my car. And the questions often asked were, will it be hacked? So it's something to be kept in mind that whilst we are talking a lot of vehicle safety, the psyche of the Indian customer today remains is, am I safe in my car with so much of my data going out all over the place?
We have a still a very low level of connectivity that we are right now at. As we move, do you see India moving towards connectivity which is of higher level, like we move out of car also, probably our personal devices and all? That's what Murli was mentioning. Do you think that as a stakeholders of the industry, do you feel safe? Do you feel convinced that we are ready to move to the next level? Yes or no? If no, what are the challenges? If yes, how will you deal with the threats and the challenges? So we'll start with Padmaja.
Okay, so we go the other way around first. So the first part is that yes, I believe we are ready for connectivity as an individual box, yeah, giving connection or giving something out and getting something in. But what we are comfortable with today is very, very little. Yeah, that does not suffice to use the entire spectrum of connectivity-based services or connectivity-based value add that is available. So two parts to the answer. One, to say that we are ready on the peripheral level to give and take information. We are good at that. But to give bigger amount of data that will give a value add, we are still not comfortable. And there is some amount of work, maybe demonstrators, maybe something else that we need to add there.
Success of adaptation is a function of usability by human resistance. Okay, most of this technology will go through human resistance path over a period of time. More than the technology, the human resistance and human skill levels will be the hindrances in the years to come. And as usual, we lag behind technology compared to outside of the world, and it will continue to happen in this also.
Three things I would like to point out is, the first, I started off my opening remarks commenting on the privacy and data legislations which need to be strengthened. We need to approach our political masters to understand what they're thinking of it and how we go about it. As far as I'm concerned, skilling up would be probably a lot more easier than what we are actually worried about here. Skilling with electronics is much more easier than mechanical. Mechanical is nuts, especially for NVH concerns and all that. It's crazy. But as far as electronics goes, not as difficult in my opinion. And the third one would be, I'm right now in this era of being technologically agnostic, because I have no clue what's going to happen in the future. 10 years ago, a manufacturer could point out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are my competition. In the future, we don't have a clue who's the competition and who's going to sustain and who's going to die away. So with that, as dealers, we welcome connectivity, and I think it's really going to help us, the society on the whole.
I feel India as a country, probably for cars, I don't think we're fully ready for connectivity, because the infrastructure and ecosystem is still a long, long way to go. When it comes to commercial vehicles, yes, it is really already proving very useful, and it is being used, and I think that is definitely going to develop much faster. But for cars to be fully connected and use the way connectivity is used around the world, I think we still have a long way to go. I mean, I think we need to more brainstorm on how Indian cars can be connected. I think would be a more relevant thing than just copying what is happening abroad, because there's a lot of difference in the ecosystem and the infrastructure available.
Yeah, my answer would be similar to what Saral mentioned, because when we talk about connectivity, there will be a big improvement, but that will happen only in the convenience space, because that is easier to do because we follow the mobile phone. On the safety side, there will not be any shift unless regulation kicks in and pushes India forward, because infrastructure has to then catch up. So that's the yes and no answer.
So connected vehicles, answer yes. Commercial vehicles, certainly yes. Cars at entertainment level, yes. Not very much more, because I don't see a value add. The rest of the ecosystem will develop. Indians love technology. I mean, we from STD booths, we have come to internet. It's just a question of time, because things fall in place.
Connected vehicles, I think in commercial vehicles, it will definitely grow, already showing a lot of growth momentum. I want to add one more perspective, like India is going to go through catch up with the various emission regulation and safety, like Euro 6 and other regulation. So in this era of Euro 6 and other thing, the connectivity becomes a very important part to maintain the vehicle correctly and maintain the various subsystems of the emission systems and other thing. The other important aspect we missed is in the agricultural sector, in tractors and other things, where connectivity combined with the precision farming can provide valuable insights into and improve the farm productivity and food safety.
Thank you, sir. We are very bullish about connectivity. Commercial vehicles, yes. Passenger vehicles, yes. Passenger vehicles because the average age of the car buyer is coming down. It's about 29 years. They want to be connected inside the house, outside the house, when you are moving everywhere. And with issues of data privacy, I have a different perspective. Google probably knows that I'm here today in Hilton. I have my location switched on. It probably knows that I'm addressing an ET conference because it's there in my calendar. I agree to part with the data probably because, I get something in return. So what do I get in return if my car is connected? Do I get safety? Do I get convenience? Do I get, comfort? If I get all this, I think issues of data privacy, all these can be, very much addressed.
My point is already many of the OEMs are already developing connectivity solutions. They're partnering with some other companies, technology companies. Now it is time to the regulators to provide vehicle-to-infra structure so that both the things will work in tandem and will be able to help the society as a whole. If not as a whole country, at least the pilot stage, some areas like a speed highway or expressway where you can know some kind of infrastructure, vehicle-to-vehicle and vehicle-to-infrastructure, that will be really helpful. Once the consumers understand the benefits in terms of safety and convenience, probably they will migrate and they will be ready to share more data. So the regulators have to make some policy and time frame in line with our India mobility program, which is till 2030. So there should be some serious thought from the government as well to support the OEMs activities. Yeah.
Looking at the challenges we face now, apparently it looks really difficult and India may not be ready for that. But I have great confidence in this country because we created cryogenic engines, supercomputers, and even Mangalyaan. So if we have a strong resolve, I think we can do all these things. That is what we need.
So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It was really lively, insightful discussion. We all contributed a lot of thoughts, and we hope that we'll produce some document out of it. This is a topic that we can go on and will not end. We had only 1.5 hours today to discuss, but definitely this was precursor to a day-long event that we are doing on 26th of October in Bangalore. So we'll welcome you to join there. We'll take the discussion further. What comes out of today's discussion is that yes, India is ready for connected vehicles. Commercial vehicle is going to catch up faster because that there is an advantage to the fleet owner that is directly going to impact his pocket. So that will be, and on passenger car side, it's more of experience and safety that will slowly move towards that. That's the conclusion. Secondly, we have to convince the regulators, the policymakers also that they come on board and they devise some mechanism, they put some deadline that how and where do we move towards. And third, what Padmaja has strongly advocated is that we as an individual, as a society, how do we have on the road, how do we drive our cars, that has to change. Then only we can really make real use of connected. Thank you so much once again for being here at ETAuto. Thank you so much. Hope to see you on 26th October at Bangalore Conclave, ETAuto Connected Vehicle Conclave.
Thank you very much.